Hello everybody, welcome to another video, and more importantly should I say welcome to the members of this channel. You've obviously come to see our good old safety check on Bus Depot, and here we are. So let's get into it. Okay, now obviously this map is a lot smaller than your standard maps, so you'd think there's not that much to rate, but I can tell you straight off the bat we have 3 low tier risks that I've identified, and the first one's obviously tripping hazards. There's some good example of these, like this roof panel that's fallen off from the top there, these makeshift barriers that have all fallen down. You could definitely trip over those as well. You got bins you can trip over as well on the floor, and more roof panels, and obviously everyone left in a rush, so there's like suitcases on the floor that you could trip over as well. I mean, what's stopping you from just running straight over this and then just falling straight over it? You know, that would hurt. And then when you go outside, you have the likes of fences that have fallen over that you could trip over. That could be pretty dangerous, you know. So there are things that you could trip over when it comes to Bus Depot. So it is going to get an overall rating of 70 out of 100. Now the next safety risk I want to mention relates to hygiene. Now overall it's not terrible when it comes to hygiene. There's not that much that we have to worry about, but there are a few little things that we do have to mention. First being, there are tiny bits of blood in areas of the map, like just through this window there's blood all over the wall there, and also when you look in the restroom there's blood all over the floor, on the mirrors, so that is, you know, could be a bit contagious. Apart from that, the only other major thing that I saw was on these bins here, there are loads of flies like hovering around a bin, which means there is rubbish that's been there for a while, because flies don't tend to just appear as soon as the rubbish bag pops up, so that could be kind of bad for your hygiene. Luckily they left this bin that's actually in the map rubbish free. Can't say as much for this bin though. So whilst it's not a major issue, hygiene still has to be considered because it could become an issue. So it is going to get an overall rating of 80 out of 100. Last but not least, we have low tier burns as our third and final low tier risk. Now I'm not talking about big sections like this. This doesn't count. This is something different. I'm just talking about little fires like this one that you could just like burn yourself on if you're not very careful. Also ones like this, you know, they're not major, but they could cause you some harm if you did get a bit too close. So low tier burns is going to get a slot on our safety risk section of this map, and it is going to get a 70 out of 100. But with that said and done, we can move on to our medium tier risks. And the first one relates to what we were just talking about, which obviously is high grade burns. I mean, yeah, that's why. You see, that's not good. I am just gonna get a weapon here quickly because the undead are pressing me. Yeah, that'll do. That definitely works. As I was saying, high tier burns around the map, there's quite a few. Like here you can really hurt yourself, over there where I mentioned you can really hurt yourself, and even sections like this, you know, you're catching fire. It's not what you want when you're trying to run around fighting the undead, and for that reason it is going to get quite a low score, and it is going to get a 20 out of 100. Next up on the list is suffocation. Now when you look up at the sky you might think, well, maybe it could be a weather element, but no, not really, because unlike transit itself, there's nothing actually going on with the weather. It's quite a still night. There's no thunder or lightning or anything. It's just smoke and fog from all the fire, and obviously smoke does not go well with the human body and it could cause you suffocating, so it is going to get a 40 out of 100. Now when you look at big old lorries like this on their side, it's not good. On top of that, you put all these vehicles that are broken alongside it, and over here and in the fire, which is not good at all. You know, they got engines and petrol in, and furthermore, you know, they're blocking our way technically, all these vehicles, so they are a safety risk, because how the hell are we going to get out of here if we need to, let alone if they break apart and trap us or explode or anything. So with that in mind, vehicles is going to go on the list, and it is going to get 40 out of 100. Now when we did the original transit video, I noticed at the very end that in this section specifically there are some barrels over here that have some corrosive signs on them, which means they contain chemicals, which of course are not good for the human body. And of course there's even more of them here that are in fire, which is another risk. So chemical hazards are quite a risk when it comes to the Bus Depot. I don't know why we've got all these chemicals, if I'm honest, at the Bus Depot. It's a very random place to have them, but they are here either way, so they are going to have to go on the list, and they are going to get a 40 out of 100. And finally, for our medium tier risks, we are going to put down the building stability. I mean, look at the state of the Bus Depot itself. It's missing half of the roof here, and it looks like it's slowly bending in on itself, so it will probably collapse even more, and that thing could even fall down, which would wouldn't be great. You gotta remember, half of the floor's broken up apart as well from where everything's just broken in on itself. The wall and that section of the restrooms have collapsed down. So if you were doing a number 2 in there at the time it collapsed, then you are out of luck. Death on the toilet doesn't sound great. And then of course you have like the garage over here that's missing part of its walls. So all the buildings around have been affected. And because of that, it is going to have to get a 50 out of 100. Now that we've got all of the medium tier risks out of the way, we do have one high tier risk, which we do have to mention. And it kind of relates to these barrels, the chemical hazard barrels, and the cars, because we mentioned it last time around in transit. It is of course the chances of an explosion. Like we said before, fire and chemicals do not mix. Fire and car engines with petrol and gas and whatnot do not mix. When they do mix, they cause explosions. Explosions that could kill us. And for that reason, it's going to get a 20 out of 100. And that leads us to our very last safety risk on this map. And it is of course the lava. You can see it bubbling up over there. It's not great. And I mean, I can go touch it, but I'm going to die very quickly. But yeah, it hurts. It hurts bad. And for that reason, of course, it's going to get a low score and it's going to get a 10 out of 100. And with that, we have identified every single safety risk that could cause us an issue on Bus Depot. But before we tally up the scores, we do have to mention that there are safety signs on these barrels alongside the safety signs that just tell us that we could die. Very helpful on the map, even though we can't actually go out that way, but they still count as safety signs. And because of that, it is going to get a +5 for safety signs. Now, just to reiterate the scores that we got on Bus Depot, we had tripping hazards with a rating of 70, hygiene with a rating of 80, low tier burns with a rating of 70, high grade burns with a rating of 20, suffocation with a rating of 40, vehicles with a rating of 40, chemical hazards also with a rating of 40, building stability with a rating of 50, explosions with a rating of 20, and lava with a rating of 10. Now when we put all of these scores together, we get a mean total of 44 out of 100, which is better than transit by quite a bit actually. But we do have to take into consideration that we did have 10 safety risks, which does give us a -5. But then we did also have the safety signs as a safety feature, which gave us a +5. So that kind of cancels itself out. So the overall score for Bus Depot is no more than 44 out of 100. So I can confidently say Bus Depot alone is safer than the whole of transit. Now who would have thought that, hey? One little section of the map is safer than the whole map together. And of course, with a rating of 44 out of 100, Bus Depot actually goes in the at risk category. And actually, now that I think of it, it actually has a higher rating than Shangri-La. So Bus Depot is actually safer than Shangri-La was. I bet you didn't think that when you first started watching the video. But anyway, that is the end of today's video. I hope you have enjoyed, and don't forget there will obviously be 2 more of these to come, being of course farm and town. So if you're looking forward to those, let me know. But apart from that, I hope you have enjoyed, and I shall see you all in the next video. But until then, stay safe. Of course I got the ray gun now that I finished the video. Pew, 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 pew. Man, I love this thing. Anyway, why are you guys still here? I'm just having fun now on this map. You can go now. The video's over. Bye-bye.